to this extraordinary Integrated Care Partnership meeting. We are live today, and I'm just wanting to say to all those present in the meeting room and those joining remotely, welcome to the meeting of the Integrated Care Partnership. And if the live stream fails during the meeting and we cannot share the proceedings, the chairman will adjourn the meeting so that access can be restored. If the issue cannot be resolved, the meeting will either be adjourned and remaining business will be concluded at a future date, or in this particular instance, at my discretion and in exceptional circumstances, such as the urgency of the business on the agenda, the number of public participants and availability of technical officers, this meeting will continue. In this eventuality, I can confirm that this would accord with the legal provisions for meetings which require voting members to be present in the room, or as we're doing it here, online at the time the vote is taken. This is a one gender item, and I'll just quickly do a quick summary, if I may. So the purpose of this paper is to provide an update on progress in developing the integrated care strategy and share the latest draft of that full strategy. The integrated care strategy is being developed by the ICP, and this is the first iteration, has to be published by the end of March, but the guidance recognises this is a transition year and that the initial strategy will continue to be refined during 2023. The partnership has adopted a life course approach to this 10-year strategy, i.e. that people start well, live well and age well as part of a strong, resilient, connected communities. It is identifying who could benefit most from our joint commissioning and delivery of care, and is starting to describe the outcomes we need to achieve. The emerging strategy also recognises that the strategic objectives previously identified at the True North event and adopted by the partnership and the board will build the care and support to deliver those outcomes. A first draft of the full publication has been shared with ICP members and the ICB board members and discussed at the ICP workshop on the 19th of January. And those comments have informed the final version for final approval through both the council and the ICB governance in February and March. And feedback is being collated through Talk Cornwall. Now I'm going to just read out the recommendations, and then I'm going to invite Rachel Rothrow and Rachel O'Connor, who are going to talk on the process for developing the strategy. So if I'm not doing you out of a job, Rachel, the recommendations are: 1, note the actions and engagements undertaken. 2, approve and recommend the final strategy as presented to this extraordinary integrated care partnership meeting for this single agenda item for statutory body approval. This then allows for the final version to go through the final approval through statutory bodies governance through March 2023. And 3, the ICB board will receive and be asked to approve the final version on the 9th of March. Cornwall Council Cabinet will receive and be asked to approve the final version on the 22nd of March, and the Isles of Scilly Council Full Council will receive and be asked to approve the final version on the 28th of March. Now, before I just go over to Rachel Rothrow and Rachel O'Connor, I would like to welcome one of our gentlemen who's asked to come in, because I know him. It's Dr. Keith Judkins. Keith, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Right. We can, and that's the last time we'll be hearing you, Keith. So now I'm going to go over to the two Rachels, please, to present the process for developing the strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Taylor, and for that summary on the integrated care strategy that we've been developing. So good morning, everybody. On behalf of Rachel and myself and other ICB and council colleagues, we're delighted to bring the final draft of the integrated care strategy to you this morning. The key points around the process for developing the strategy I really wanted to emphasise on our behalf has been the process by which, through partnership, we've been developing this since July through to December, when we developed the first draft of the publication that you see in your papers today. So the process that we've taken, it's very much started with the basis of it being drawn from our joint strategic needs assessment, to really ensure that as we go forward on our strategic vision to improve the outcomes for the people of Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, that it's very much rooted in the needs and the outcomes that we want together to strive to make a difference on and improve over the course of this 10-year strategy. So that very much has been at the heart of the development of the strategy. The second point is it's very much built on the key publications of the council plan, the health and wellbeing strategy, and, as Councillor Taylor has mentioned, our more recent joint collaborative work with our True North principles, and recognising national and local policy and strategy at its fore, particularly the opportunities that forgive us in terms of the new legislation around integration and the importance of ensuring that we have joined up care for our residents to improve their outcomes, but also reduce some of the fragmentation and some of the challenges in access that can arise from not having joined up care and support for those that we're here to care. We, from starting with the Joint Strategic Needs Assessment, it identified some early priorities for us across the life course, where together we believe we can make a difference over these 10 years. We, over the course of the period between October and December, convened a number of workshops with our stakeholders, our staff, and opportunities to further develop those themes with us, to shape both the outcomes that you see within the publication that we want to make a difference on, but also to identify some of the key themes of what we want to achieve. And what very much came through in those workshops, one was centred around our Born Well with our One Vision partners, the second workshop around our Live Well, and our third around how we age well, and particularly how we support those in the last 1,000 days of death in terms of their health and wellbeing, and carers in supporting people through their life course. The key themes that have come out as we've been developing through those workshops have been the recognition of ensuring that we have personalised care for our residents, very much rooted in supporting them in their places and their communities, that we support how we join up the care across our agencies around those individuals, and really think about having strong and important preventative approaches right through that life course, and take a joined up approach in terms of our agencies and how we offer and support that, both in terms of self-management, but also reducing the impact of early escalation and supporting people in their homes and to live independently. We have also launched over this period a number of formal engagement events. Delighted with the response, and a huge thanks to our public and our staff who've responded to our Talk Cornwall publication. I believe we've had over 500 responses, had a really strong initial few weeks. I think we hit 100 responses relatively quickly, which I think is fairly record breaking for the degree to which we had input, and some real strength in responses there. Themes that have come through in terms of support around access, really building on the building blocks we've got around our voluntary sector and primary care, and I hope colleagues see a thread of that through the draft publication that we've got before you. And the final point I wanted to make is that we've also ensured that in the strategy there is a nod to the how we want to move forward together, so really rooting in our True North principles about how we take the opportunity through this strategy in how we do things differently, how we work differently, to ensure that we are putting the person at the centre. We are ensuring that our design and our delivery is rooted in the places and where people live and support, and how we start to make the change over this next 10 years to provide more funding and support that is more upstream, and make that channel shift in the way that we talked about in our True North priorities. We will be continuing our engagement. That continues formally into the early part of next week, but will continue through the course of 23-24. As Councillor Taylor mentioned, this is a iterative strategy. It will be reviewed annually, but we are seeking endorsement today to be able to take this forward as a final draft through our statutory bodies for formal endorsement and publication, to allow us to move on to then the next important work of how we start to deliver that shared vision that we've described in the publication. There are just one thing I wanted to point out before I end, Councillor Taylor. We've probably had a little bit of seeing the strategy so familiar to us that there are a couple of errors that we've noticed on page 38 and 47, where the quality statements describe that are relating to live well but still have a reference to children and young people. So we've picked that up and we will be making that change before it goes through to the formal status. And on page 47, we don't seem to have a cross-check back to the exec summary. So one of the outcomes needs to marry back to page 6. So I just wanted to recognise that those were two QA issues that we just needed to pick up. Alison or Rachel, is there anything that I've missed in that process or approach that you'd like to add?
If I could just come in there, Chair, that's
Yeah,
okay.
please,
First of all, a really comprehensive introduction from Rachel there. So and yourself, leader, actually. So really not a huge amount to add. I just wanted to say though that I'm really pleased and proud to see us land this strategy. It's such a key strategy for us moving forward over the next 10 years, and really focusing on what matters to our residents, both as a collective and as individuals, and building on the strengths that already exist in Cornwall as well. And I think that's really important. I think the work has been a really good example of our partnership working. We've had extensive engagement over the last several months with both residents and partner agencies as well. And I did just want to give some recognition to the work of the 3 Rachels and their officers who've engaged in leading this work forward, but also KPMG, who worked with us as our partners in getting us to where we are today. And I'm really pleased to recommend this strategy both to the ICP and then onwards to Cabinet. Thanks.
Lovely. Thank you, Ali. I'd like to bring in Rachel Wigglesworth, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to sort of reassure and support the strategy on the basis of how embedded it is in the joint strategic needs assessment. I mean, it's been a process that we've been ensuring that happens right from the start. It's referenced throughout, which is one of the guidance around how this strategy should be developed. So our team have been working very closely to try and make sure that's illustrated and referenced throughout, and that it's built upon that, about the understanding of variation and need in Cornwall, and also that it is aligned to obviously the work that was done to build the health and wellbeing strategy, the joint strategy for Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. It isn't the same, and the document tries to distinguish the role of the two, but it's very clearly aligned, particularly the parts of the health and wellbeing strategy that relate to the best start in life for children and young people, the healthy body section, and the healthy mind. So those elements are written throughout this strategy so that they work together. They're based on the same sort of assessment of our needs, but perhaps the more building block elements of health around places, housing, employment and skills is less strong, because that is something as well that is very much a strength within the health and wellbeing strategy. But alignment is there, it's based on need, so very much support the strategy and thank colleagues for working in partnership on it.
Brilliant. Meredith, did I see your hand go up and down? Did I need to be bringing you in?
You don't need to bring me in. I'm happy to come in when questions, if you're open for questions.
Okay, so look, I'm not seeing any hands coming up at this point, so I am now happy to take any questions on the presentation that the 2 Rachels have just delivered. So Meredith, am I bringing you in now?
That would be lovely. Thank you very much. Leader. I just wanted to, I suppose it's again sort of offering thanks. So as a Director of Children's Services, so for those who don't know me, I'm Meredith Teasdale, Strategic Director for Children's Schools and Families. I know that my colleagues across the country are sometimes struggling to ensure that children and young people are recognised within integrated care systems and within the draft integrated care strategies. That's not the case in Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. The Start Well piece reflects the work that's taken place by the team of talking to partners within children and young people has been really clear, really good, and I think stands well within the document, and hopefully that will also come through during the consultation period as well. So, you know, I'm really proud that yet again Cornwall is setting that clear steer that children and young people and future of reducing inequalities is really important to us.
I don't know what you said, Meredith, but I've had a brace of hands go up. So I'm now going to introduce Susan Bracefield, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Taylor, and thank you to colleagues for the introduction to the strategy. It's a great piece of work. I suppose what I'd want to say really is that the work that we need to do now as a clinical body, a clinical and care body, in supplementing the work that's already been done through the strategy. We've been talking within the ICB with colleagues around having a clinical and care strategy. I think it's more of a plan actually that sits with this particular strategy and how we land some of the more difficult issues that we've got here now going into the future, like our backlog, for example, around our waiting lists. That's for right the way through from children to adults. How we make sure that we eradicate ambulances being held at the front door and that never happens again, so that people flow through our systems seamlessly and getting the right care at the right time. So whilst we know this is still open to consultation, there's some really good work that I think we need to do collectively around that clinical and care piece that really augments the work that's been done so far. So thank you.
Thank you. And then can I bring in Caroline Andrews, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I really just wanted to pick up on the point that Meredith made around children and young people, because as part of the engagement process, it was really good to see that Barnardo's, the Launceston Youth Partnership, Lizard Child Community Help Improving Learning and Development Trust, all kind of filled in the survey. And we also had other survey results that were specifically to children and young people. So it was really good to see some of those organisations feeding into the strategy as part of the engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. So what I'd like to do, I've got on my agenda that we're going to get some feedback from KPMG, and it's going to come from Gina Nagub Roberts, and this is where you are absolutely going to correct me on how your name is pronounced, and I'd appreciate it. So Gina, please.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you very much for inviting us to be part of this important meeting. It's Gina Nagib Roberts. So a few really quick remarks from me. I'd like to say thank you for all of your cooperation. It's been a really great example of partnership working across the system and also with KPMG. So thank you. It's been a privilege to support you to develop your first integrated care strategy. I hope that you agree it compares favourably to other systems integrated care strategies. We did quite a lot of comparison, and if you haven't yet had an opportunity to do a little bit of comparing and contrasting, I would really encourage you to have a look. I think you have the foundations of a really strong strategy to build on and iterate as you move forwards. The remark that I wanted to make was to really encourage you to think carefully about the role of your integrated care areas and the role more generally of place and of neighbourhood in really driving delivery of this important strategy. I think it's fair to say that we are seeing a lot of integrated care partnerships and ICSs more generally across the country now standing back as they have their integrated care strategies and considering what their place-based arrangements look like. So it was just a little, I hope, helpful insight from the work that we've been doing with other parts of the country in thinking about how you take this forward into delivery. And thank you again for letting us be part of this important piece of work and this really important meeting.
So Gina, thank you on behalf of everybody who's here today, and obviously with the close working relationships you've built up. Gina, here in Cornwall, we love collaborative working, but more importantly, we like pinching best practice ideas. So always bear that in mind when you come and talk to us. Now, Kate, I'm going to move to Kate because Kate's going to sum up on the next steps moving to delivery. And Kate, when you have finished, I will then be going to the vote, and just to get John Gavat lined up, because hopefully he's going to second my recommendations, and Caroline, who's taking the notes, those recommendations will be subject to the alterations as mentioned on page 38 and 47. So we just want to be clear that those are encompassed in. So super. So Kate, over to you, and welcome.
Sorry, I didn't turn my microphone on. Thank you. I did just want to follow on the back of what Gina said before I go to next steps, Councillor Taylor, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a really good piece of work that demonstrates the clear commitment to partnership between the local authority and the ICB. And for the first product for our ICP, I think it's really good. And it does compare well with other ICP strategies that are in development. The point Gina's making around place, one of the things I just wanted to reflect on is that we started this journey around our True North event, and then aligning the output of the True North event with the council plan. And clearly for both the council and neighbourhoods and for the ICB in place, we've got a really strong commitment to making sure that people in place are involved in the next step. So I'm quite excited about what we do after this. So in terms of next steps from this meeting, if all colleagues around the table are happy with our work to date, then we would be recommending it to our statutory board. So that's the Integrated Care Board for me and for the Cabinet for Ali. We know that our engagement doesn't stop till Monday, so we will be continuing to get views from our people across the county and to make sure that we reflect that in any recommendation we make to our statutory boards. And then I'm assuming that we will then be very proudly saying that this is our integrated care plan and that we will be recommending it. We'll be showing it with the Health and Wellbeing Board and we'll be submitting it as Cornwall's best effort for a really good set of partnership working to take us forward into the next 10 years.
Lovely, thank you, Kate, and the points you've made about where this recommendation is going to go does form part of recommendation 3. So, John, may I be looking to you to second the recommendations that I proposed at the start, subject.
Just
I need to be
Linda, may I say a few words?
Yeah, by all means, John. You didn't put your hand up, so that's why I didn't invite you.
I was just waiting for the right moment. That was all. So, just wanted to really endorse the fact that, in terms of what Gina was saying, in terms of us versus some of the other ICBs, of course, there's 42 of which we're one looking at this. I have to say the fact that Linda and I, you and I, are able to co-chair shows with the group of people that we've got, not just from our councils and from the NHS, but also we shouldn't forget Health Watch. And I can see Emma on the call from the third sector, completely embedded in here. So it's a complete sort of system-based solution to our 10-year strategy. The huge amount of effort that's gone on through this has been, well, it's been immense. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you to all colleagues on the call and those who aren't on the call who have been part of this as well. So I'm more than happy to say thank you for that, and also more than happy to second, Linda, the proposal.
Thank you, John. And Ashley, I was looking for your hand to come up. Welcome from the Isles of Scilly. Can I bring you in, please, before we go to the vote?
Yes, of course. I think you can all guess what I'm going to say. So what I'm going to say is that the Isles of Scilly has been part of this process too, and I would just ask everybody to remember we've got 2 local authorities involved, but thank you very much for including us. And you know, we've got a visit from Kate coming up in the next couple of months about how it looks on the Isles of Scilly, because as you've rightly recognised, it is all about place and neighbourhoods and identity. So thanks.
Thank you, Ashley. So we've got the recommendations. I proposed, John seconded. They are subject to those alterations on page 38 and 47. Caroline, who's supporting it, you're happy that you've captured those? Yeah, lovely. So everyone, it's a show of hands to support an incredibly important collaborative piece of working. So my hand's going straight up to support. Thank you. That's looking really good. And yeah, that's everyone smiling. Hands are all up. I'm getting claps here. Fabulous. So can I just say, if we could have more meetings like this, informative, collaborative, full of discussion with one aim. This is how to do business. So thank you, everyone. Take care. Oh, Kate, did you want to come in, or you just?
You know, I would like to come in. Thank you to colleagues for their work on the strategy. And at the back, I know we'll all have clocked the next steps, which I think the Isles of Scilly, it concludes with the Isles of Scilly Council Ashling on the 28th of March. So you end up with the last word, which is always a good thing to have. But perhaps in our next ICP meeting, which we have scheduled, I think, for the middle of March, we might want to just reflect on the communication plan once it's been ratified about how we actually mark this moment as a partnership across with our staff, with our workforce, and with the public around this milestone that we've set. So you know, Kate and I will be meeting on Monday. I think the opportunity around how we use this to push on into 23-24 and have that as a focus as one of our agenda items when we next meet, I think would be really valuable.
Thank you, Kate. And obviously, John wants to have the last word. So, John, over to you. You're on mute.
You're on mute, John.
Thank you. Just wanted to pick up on Kate's observation there about the timeline. If we just think about that timeline from the second part of it, it really emphasises the need to actually spend after today focusing on the delivery of how we're going to do this. We're signing off the strategy work as we go through this journey, but we still have a lot of work to do between now and the end of March, effectively, to finish off, dot the I's and cross the T's on the delivery plan as well.
Lovely. Right, I'm giving you back 4 minutes of your time today. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely weekend and all take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and bye,
Take care.
Kate.
Bye bye.
Neil, did you want to say something? It's gone.